On the 14th of 2025, the sun released its strongest solar flare.
Burning inside a waterfall. Yeah, that's exactly what you're seeing right now.
Depart from what you're witnessing here. It's a heavenly being on the move.
How much would it take for you to drink that water? How much money?
Across the vast land of America, signs once thought impossible are now breaking open the veil between heaven and earth. It began quietly, like whispers in the wind, but soon the skies, the waters, and even the very ground beneath our feet began to tremble with messages too striking to ignore. In Texas, people lifted their eyes and saw rainfall unlike any they had ever known, puddles and rivers tinted with a strange, unearthly blue. Parents pulled their children back from the drenched fields, fearful of touching the mysterious water, while farmers stood frozen, staring at their soaked crops with worry in their eyes. Scientists rushed forward with theories of dust particles, minerals, or pollution, but their explanations fell flat against the reality of what witnesses had seen with their own eyes. To believers, this was not science. It was a sign, a reminder of Revelation 8 verse 11, where waters are turned bitter, carrying warnings of judgment. While Texas wrestled with water that had changed its nature, New York was captivated by fire that refused to die. At Eternal Flame Falls, tourists stood stunned as a flame burned steadily behind a curtain of rushing water. It flickered and glowed, defying the force that should have extinguished it long ago. Scientists explained it as natural gas seeping through cracks in the stone, but those who witnessed it knew there was something sacred in the sight. For them, it was an echo of Exodus 3, when Moses stood before the burning bush that was not consumed, a moment where heaven's fire met earth's elements. Side by side, these two events painted a contrast almost too poetic to dismiss. In one place, water corrupted. In another, fire purified. Together, they declared a truth. Creation itself was trembling, but divine order still remained unshaken. Then came the skies, bleeding with fire. Early in 2025, the sun erupted with solar flares so violent that entire communication networks across America faltered. Satellites fell silent, GPS systems failed, and airline pilots reported strange distortions in their instruments as they tried to navigate skies filled with magnetic confusion. But the most terrifying moment came at night, when the heavens themselves erupted into rivers of crimson and green light. In states like Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida, places where auroras had never been seen, families gathered in disbelief as the sky poured forth colors like blood and fire. Some clutched their children and whispered prayers. Others fell to their knees, trembling at what they saw, and still others screamed in terror as phones captured the sight for the world to see. Scientists called it a geomagnetic storm. Believers called it Joel 2 verse 31 brought to life. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. But the skies were not finished. In Los Angeles, residents began to speak of something even more unsettling. A dark figure suspended silently in the heavens. It made no sound, cast no shadow, and unlike any bird, plane, or drone, it did not move. For minutes it remained motionless, as though watching. Videos spread across the internet, igniting debates. Some insisted it was a trick of light. Others swore it was something not of this world. It wasn't just a shadow, one trembling witness whispered. It was staring right through me. Days later in Dallas, another shape appeared, this time perched atop an electrical tower, its silhouette winged and vast, sparks leaping from the tower as though its very presence disturbed the current of power. To many, this was Hebrews 12 verse 26 brought to life. Once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens. And then came the vision that shook America to its core. In broad daylight over California, a radiant figure appeared, towering, brilliant, wings of fire and light stretching wide across the sky. Thousands witnessed it. Some shielded their faces, unable to look at its brilliance, while others fell to their knees in awe. Mothers wept, fathers prayed, children clung to their parents, as phones captured footage of the impossible. Scientists scrambled for explanations, sunlight striking ice crystals, rare atmospheric illusions. But the still frames told a story too deliberate to be dismissed. Days later, hikers in Redwood National Park reported a similar vision. Through smoke rising from wildfire ash, a luminous angelic form appeared, radiant and unmoving, standing as if guarding the ancient trees. The forest fell silent, and the hikers whispered through tears, "Heaven has come near." Across the land, the signs multiplied. Fires in San Diego painted the skies blood red, swallowing homes and hillsides in smoke and flame, as Joel's prophecy echoed again, blood and fire and billows of smoke. Then came the great eclipse, sweeping across America in eerie silence, plunging the nation into sudden darkness at midday, echoing the crucifixion when the sun itself refused to shine. People clutched one another as birds fell silent and temperatures dropped. Astronomers explained it as orbit and alignment, yet believers remembered Amos 8 verse 9, "I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight." To them, it was not just astronomy, it was a mirror of prophecy. In the heartland, a single vertical beam of light rose from the earth to the heavens, as if a pillar had been planted between two worlds. Farmers and families stood transfixed. Some wept openly, declaring it a sign of God's presence. Scientists again offered theories, but their words fell into silence before what people knew they had seen. Just as God once led Israel by a pillar of cloud and fire, this mysterious light became a reminder that even now, in a time of confusion and fear, the Lord had not abandoned his people. Yet perhaps the most haunting warnings came from the earth itself. Beneath Yellowstone, the supervolcano stirred uneasily. Geysers erupted unpredictably, boiling springs changed color, and the ground groaned as animals fled the forests. Scientists spoke of tectonics, but Scripture reminded believers of Luke 21 verse 11, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven." The ground beneath America's feet seemed to whisper warnings of upheaval. And looming beyond the atmosphere, another sign drew near. The asteroid Apophis, named after the Egyptian god of chaos, hurtled silently toward Earth. Scheduled to pass dangerously close in 2029, some warned it could one day shift its path into collision. To scientists, it was an object of study. To believers, it was a shadow of prophecy, an echo of Revelation 8 verse 10, where a star called Wormwood falls from heaven, poisoning the waters. Could Apophis be a harbinger of what is to come? The message of all these signs is clear. The heavens are speaking, the earth is trembling, and humanity stands at the crossroads. Some dismiss it all as coincidence, as climate, as chance. Others fall to prayer, knowing the words of Jesus in Matthew 24 verse 33. "When you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door." The choice is ours, mock or believe, ignore or prepare. The signs are here, the warnings are written, and the time to decide is now.